Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, James Protin. Every week I will be sharing the experiences that have defined my journey and talking with people who have their own powerful story to tell. It's about doing better and being better in life, business, and all things in between. The visually inclined can catch us on YouTube, or you can check us out on just about every podcast platform. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. We are back in our home away from home, Chico Bocello in Canonsburg, and our guest today is Jordan Bellotti. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me. That was great.
Pittsburgh headshot photographer.
Yeah.
So we'll jump into that. Let's talk about that first, and then we can kind of backstep and step around some other things, because that's what I know you from. I know you in that capacity.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I've really paid attention to that space, and there's a lot of competition in that space in Pittsburgh, but you do it really well. Your product is outstanding. It's just when I look at the shots that you've taken, and I don't really know any of the people, some I have, but it pops, man. You really pull the essence of people out of them in those photos. I mean, what's your secret? What's the process?
So this is what I tell people is that the secret is what we're doing right now.
Communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the secret. So it's not about the gear. It's not about how many cameras I have or my settings or that stuff is important. Like the technical stuff is totally important. And that was a journey. I'm crazy. I'm a nerd. I'm a gear nerd. When I was I'm a musician, I was saying earlier, I was a nerd about guitars and amps and drums.
Is that what you played, guitar?
Yeah, guitar, drums, yeah.
Okay.
But so I'm crazy about that stuff. My color, tweaking stuff, saturation. I want it to be perfect. But what I have found with headshots is the connection with me and the person is so much more important than any of that other stuff. Like, I would give up all the gear I have if I had to. Like, if you said, you can keep doing headshots, but you have to either, in order to keep doing them, you have to get rid of your gear or something like that and just use a phone. And that's all you would have. And I would say, bring it on. I'll do it.
Cool.
Because there's
not a lot of guys in your profession that would say that.
Those things are tools and they're helpful, but I don't need them. I honestly don't need them. As long as I have a window with some light, I can get some kind of decent light coming in.
Yeah.
I can do my work. Because what I found is it's so much more about me and the person that I'm photographing. Because everyone that walks through the door of my studio has got stuff going on. Right? Like, it might be they're nervous about being in front of a camera.
Yeah, most people are.
It might be they're feeling pressured by their peers and they're trying to get this new job and, they feel like they should probably update their headshot. Like, I don't know why they're there.
Yeah.
But it's my job to kind of figure that out.
To pull it out.
Yeah.
Right.
To figure that out.
You basically, you put them on the stool, in the chair, and you don't just leave them there. You coach them up.
Yeah.
You talk to them and you get to know them and communicate with them and pull that out of them. And, do you think that you have peers that really kind of get spoiled by the tech and just, they get the shot and they look through the lens, they got the shot, boom, they go bring in the next one and like a commodity, because you can get spoiled by all of that.
Definitely. Yeah. I can't speak for all the other photographers out there in Pittsburgh, but I would say that I see a lot of people online going crazy over new gear. Like, as soon as a new camera comes out, they're dropping $5,000 on a new camera and everything, thinking that is what's going to make their work better or get them to where they want to be. And I just don't find that to be the case. So when I first started photography, and I'm new to photography, I don't have pictures of me at 10 years old, like an old Polaroid holding a film camera, like with my dad. I don't have any of that.
Well, I saw you in your bio. It just basically started as a hobby.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I was into music first, but I got a camera along the way. In 2018 is when I got my very first camera.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm very new.
Wow.
To the whole thing.
That's impressive. It really is, because your people that look at your work product would not believe that.
Probably not. And I thank you for saying that. I mean,
I mean it.
Yeah.
I mean it.
I think that I'm one of those people that when I really like something, I really go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see a lot of people that go crazy with the gear. Like they think it's the most important thing. Like they'll as soon as the newest thing comes out, they're buying it and everything.
Toy,
and
right.
So when I started photography, there were a couple things that I did that I saw really catapulted the quality of my work, and it had very little to do with gear. So one of them was I use Photoshop for my work.
Okay.
And when I first started photography, I didn't really know a whole lot about Photoshop. I always wanted to learn, and I attempted to learn Photoshop probably 8-9 years ago, but that's back when we didn't really have YouTube.
Yeah, right.
And Photoshop is not one of those programs that you can just sit down and figure out. Just, open it and kind of get your bearings. There's 1,000 ways to do one thing. Like it's a pretty simple program once you learn how to use it, but it is also pretty complex.
Okay.
So when I first started photography, I thought I should learn how to use Photoshop. And because I knew that maybe there was value there.
Right.
It would widen what I could achieve by using Photoshop.
Okay.
So I found this online platform for learning Photoshop, and it was more specific towards photography.
Okay.
And I subscribed to that platform for a year, and they had a bunch of videos behind the paywall. You could watch and learn stuff. And that blew my photography, my idea of what photography could be open. It really blew it open. And that's really when a light bulb went off. And I thought, wow. And I gained the confidence after subscribing to that. It's called Flern is what it's called.
Okay.
I subscribed to it for a year. And that's when I thought, none of this stuff matters. Like you could give me a phone and I could do my work with a phone. Because there's so much like the knowledge is what really matters.
Right.
Yeah. So I do love gear. But and for headshots specifically, because it's such a personal thing.
Well, it's a tool. It's a tool, and it makes your job as a creative, as an artist, makes it easier.
Yeah.
And
it does.
When you talk about Photoshop and things like that, when your base product, when is high quality, it makes the rest of it easier as well.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
But whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it's you put out some powerful images.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
When you can take somebody that's just looking into your camera, and the person that sees that finished product actually can feel that person.
Yeah.
You can, it's different. There's a lot of great photographers in Pittsburgh.
Definitely.
And I've worked with some of them, and I have tremendous respect for them. But your stuff, for some reason, just really pops.
I love that.
It's not, and I can't explain it because I don't have that artistic piece, right? That's not me. I can appreciate it, but I don't understand it to explain it. It's like going into a museum and seeing a Picasso. I know that's a work of art. That's a piece of work. How did he do it? How did it? I don't know.
Yeah.
And do I really care? No. I just want to appreciate the finished product.
Yeah.
And that's when when you share that stuff on LinkedIn and stuff, man, it just blows me away. There's just something about your product, your finished product, that is just a little different than the other stuff I see out there.
What's so weird too is it's not me that's doing that. It's the subject. It's developing that connection, and sort of I want to pull the greatness out of you.
Right.
So yeah, the lighting, I have this amazing lighting setup, and I put a lot of effort into making it look amazing. So yeah, that's part of it. But the majority of it, that pop is, I believe, like the expression and pulling the greatness out of somebody. So I just had someone in my studio on Monday, and was it Monday? Yeah, I think it was Monday. And he was really nervous. He was nervous about it. He just, had his reasons for being nervous, but he came anyways.
Right.
And he followed my instructions for preparation. I do these things. It helps out, regarding clothing, whatever. So he followed all that. He brought a ton of outfits to try. And it just watching him start off being nervous to getting in front of my camera and us interacting and me taking some photos. And part of what I my process is reviewing a lot.
Yeah.
So I like to keep people in the loop.
Okay.
So as we take photos in my studio, I have this huge monitor, and I plug my camera into the monitor, into my computer. So the photos pop up instantly on this huge monitor. And so as we started shooting and we started seeing these photos pop up, watching him go from nervous to sort of like confident and like, I look good there. You know what I mean? To starting off being nervous to getting to like, look at that handsome guy. And I'm like, exactly.
Yeah. And you know, that's a lot of what it is. When you look at your photos and the eyes are what really kind of jumps out at you, the subject's eyes. And that's where you see the confidence come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, you know, if you have nervous eyes, if you're nervous, you know, what they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul,
Big
right?
time.
You can't hide anything,
Big time.
right? If you could look in somebody in the eye, you're going to know what's going on in there, you know? And I think that confidence, you bring that confidence out, and that's what you see, that pop. That's what it is.
It's the eyes. So the eyes are super important. And this is
that is cool.
This is what I tell people a lot. And it's part of why, I don't know if you noticed this, but I crop really tight for my headshots. So I usually try to keep it 2/3 of the face and like 1/3 like the body.
Yeah.
And some people don't like it that close. You know, they're like, oh, can you like make it a little wider or whatever? Yeah. But I crop really tight because for me, a headshot is all about your face.
Right.
I want to see your eyes. I can't stand when I see someone, especially on LinkedIn or Instagram, that they use a headshot or a photo of them that's like the waist up, like a really wide shot. Yeah. But they put it in that little circle on LinkedIn.
And you get real tiny. Yeah, like, it's very tiny.
Yes. And you can barely see their face. And my thing is, as humans, we interact through our faces. Like,
sure, absolutely.
If you say something that annoys your wife, I'm sure you can tell that you did that without even asking.
Absolutely, because I do that 63 or 4 times a day.
Yep.
You know,
I'm the same.
But you're absolutely right. And there's, because I'm one of those people, I don't like myself. I don't like images of myself. I'm not, you know, I'm not self-effacing. I'm not vain. I'm really, it's not something that I'm comfortable with, you know? And I have a friend of mine did a photo for me. She's a professional, you know her, Dominique Murray.
Yeah,
and
I don't know her personally, but I know
Dom.
Of her.
Dom did a photo for me, you know, basically for marketing purposes for the podcast, and I use it as my profile picture on all social media because honestly, it's the best photo that has ever been taken of me in 64 years.
I love it.
I mean, it really is because it's not that. I mean, although she's technically very, very skilled in everything, but it's not the composition as much as what she brought out in my face.
Yeah.
When I look at that picture, and I said this to her, that's me, at least how I perceive myself, right? So that picture, I mean, I love it. I mean, but when you get to be my age, you change so much, you can't use that one photo for very long.
Yeah.
but that was the thing that the composition, as you said, was secondary to what my face, my expression in that photo conveyed.
Yeah.
You know?
A good analogy that I use is think about the photos that you have maybe on your phone or whatever that you love, that you absolutely love.
Right.
Maybe your son or your daughter, whatever, takes a picture of if you have grandkids, and technically maybe it sucks. Like maybe it's dark or maybe it's like there's all kinds of stuff that's distracting in the frame, but the person in the photo, the subject, is having a great time. It's a real moment. Their face is lit up. You'll love that photo. You'll keep that photo forever.
I have those,
and you'll look at them
ton of those on my camera.
Bring a huge smile to your face. So that's the analogy that I use is that's the most powerful kind of image. And that's what I want in my headshots. I don't want just I don't want to just stand there and ask you to smile because then you get fake. I believe that expression, a real expression, is the most powerful thing. And in terms of a headshot, especially using it like on LinkedIn, you know, people are going to judge you.
Sure.
Like,
absolutely.
You know, like I don't think it's an end all be all. Like I've seen plenty of, it's funny, if you look on LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of CEOs with horrible headshots. Yeah. Or you go down, you scroll down and you'll see their activity and you'll see they haven't posted in like 12 months or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, I get it. They're the CEO of a company. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah. They've probably been doing it for a long time. Everybody probably knows them. I understand. They probably feel like I don't need a headshot. Who cares? But it is a thing. Like And it can be powerful. Like it can be a plus, you know, like because people check you out. Like especially, you know, if you're, I don't know, setting up a meeting with someone. I know I do it. Like if someone opts in, if they fill out my little form on my website,
absolutely.
Usually I'll go to LinkedIn and look them up and just see. I'm just curious, like who's this person?
Yeah.
So I mean,
LinkedIn is such a powerful tool
really
for business, especially if you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, whatever the buzzword of the moment is.
Sure.
I mean, that is so powerful because everything you need to know is there.
Yeah.
You know, it might not be written verbatim, but you know, what I need to know about you, for example, to come on this show and have a conversation with you, I can find on there.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. Yeah.
And I think the cool thing is you get just enough to want to know more.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's what marketing's all about.
Yeah, it
right?
really is. Yeah.
You tell enough of the story so that they want more of it.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, it's cool.
That's very cool.
That's
so
cool.
All right, let's so where's your studio?
Wilkinsburg.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay. And how do people find you? Social media? Is that the
yeah.
Where do most of your subjects come from, your people?
So a lot, I would say a good bit of it comes from LinkedIn. Okay. Because I'm super active on LinkedIn.
You are, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Trying to spread my, you know, what I do and, you know, grow my network and things like that and meet like-minded people. So a good bit of people come from LinkedIn, but people also, you know, still Google and I do show up on Google. So sometimes people find me that way.
Okay.
Word of mouth. Sometimes clients will say, go to this guy. Yeah. And then they'll, you know, I'll get a message and they'll be like, hey, I saw you did, or I used to work with so-and-so, you know, because I post a lot of my work on LinkedIn. And so, you know, sometimes like old coworkers of that person will say, oh, I saw
it. Yeah, it was very cool. Okay.
And I'm doing this thing and I could use a headshot and it was so great. You know, let's talk or whatever. Okay. So it's kind of all over.
And you're a Pittsburgh guy?
Pittsburgh guy.
Right? Born and raised? You said?
Yinzer,
baby. All the way.
That's
so,
right.
Did you watch the game last night?
You know, I am a Yinzer, but I'm not into sports.
So I didn't watch it either. I worked last night. I didn't get home till late. But and you're married and apparently you got like an award. You're the #1 dad.
I'm the #1 dad.
The #1 dad. So, that's big, man. That's big.
Let me tell you a really funny story about this hat. I have two. So when my wife and I found out that we were pregnant, we were super excited.
Okay.
And it's literally like the day after we found out that we were pregnant, I was like, I'm buying a #1 dad hat. So I went to Amazon and I found this hat and I bought it. So it came and I started wearing it. But in the beginning, I put tape over it.
Really?
Well, because we weren't. So, and I don't know if when we found out we were pregnant, me and my wife were the only two people that knew.
Uh-huh.
And we just felt like this is kind of cool that we're the only two people that know right now, like this big, huge life thing. So it's not that we kept it from anyone. We just wanted to kind of have it.
Just enjoy it. Enjoy it for a little bit.
For a little while. Just us two knowing that like, wow, this is happening.
It's going to be cool.
So, but eventually I took the tape off and I was still wearing the #1 dad hat. But I've gotten so many comments about this hat. So right after I got this hat, I went to Home Depot for something early in the morning. So as soon as I walk in, this guy starts eyeing me up, kind of, as soon as I walk in. And he goes, hey, I'm the #1 dad. I said, okay, all right. And we laughed and whatever. And then another time I was in, this was later, I was in Whole Foods in Wexford. And I was in this aisle that was pretty busy and I was like trying to stay on one side of the aisle looking for, you know, what I was trying to get or whatever. And this guy kind of came down with a cart and then he kind of saw me and stopped and he started to back up and he says, God forbid I stand in front of the #1 dad. And I walked out of Whole Foods and I was like, what is like the deal with this hat? Like I get so many comments and things that happen while I'm out. I don't know. It's funny.
It's really cool. But you have a little boy?
Yeah,
What's his
boy.
name?
Jasper.
Oh, cool. I love that.
19 months.
19
He's a
months.
Wacky and wild man. He is a wild man.
And you just made it through Halloween with a 19-month-old.
Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, did you go trick or treat?
We did go trick or treating. Yeah, it was super fun. So we just moved out to, I was sort of telling you off camera, we just moved out to the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is technically his second Halloween since we've been out in the suburbs.
Sure.
First Halloween, he was too young.
He's a baby, yeah.
So we were going to hand out candy. So we did that. But then this time he's older, walking, talking, all that stuff. So we thought it'd be fun to do the trick-or-treating. So it was our first time going out to do trick-or-treating in the suburbs.
Okay.
And it was awesome because I haven't been trick-or-treating since I was probably a kid.
Right.
And I have such great memories from when I was a kid, like trick-or-treating. And this was so nostalgic because it was a neighborhood and there were so many kids out and so many houses participating.
Yeah.
It was a blast. I mean, I think my wife was like making fun of me because I think I talked about it
for the next fun than he did.
Yeah. I was still talking about it like 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
But it was just such a great time. I mean, I know for me, I'm just sort of a nostalgic person. So I love Christmas because I have all these memories of when I was a kid, like Christmas time, Halloween. I remember going out with our pillowcases and hitting every house that we could, then going home and dumping our pillowcase and going back out to get even more candy.
Going back out, yeah.
I just have great memories.
And you want him to have those.
I want him to have the same thing. So
that's cool.
It was super fun. Yeah, so it was fun.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, your face just lights up. As soon as I said the number one dad, you like, bam, that was it.
You know,
that's your thing. You like being a dad. That's your thing.
I love it. I think that, you know, I respect everyone's opinion, right? Everyone's got their life choices, but I truly feel like people that don't want to have kids or think it's not for them, they're so missing out.
But you're right. It's a lifestyle choice. You know, it's not for everybody. And you know, like I told you, I had kids very, very young in life. All my kids are older than you.
Yeah.
And you know, I wasn't ready for it. So we kind of stumbled and bumbled through it. And my wife was even younger than me. But it was when I look back on it now, on those memories, you know, first thing I do is I see things I could have done differently.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Sure.
Not regret, but I could have been a better dad here. I could have been this, and that, and the other. And that's, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, right?
100%.
But I think that I was able to be present enough in those moments.
Yeah.
That those memories are even there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because that's when the next step is like, say, oh, you know, I could have done that. Then I'll think about it for a second. And but that was fun.
Yeah.
You know, that was cool. It all worked out and everything. So I think, you know, the great thing about little ones is that in your heart, he's always going to be 19 months old.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, just talking to you about him, I can see my son standing there when he was
back to,
you know, I see him as clearly as he's right there, and he's 40 now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's always going to be your boy, man.
Yeah. It's a, you know, we were excited to have kids. Obviously it's definitely something we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Was nervous, right?
Oh, it's
a
scary thing.
Life was happening.
Yeah.
And I had just started my photography business. Like probably maybe a year, maybe less than a year after I started my photography business. I was like, I'm pregnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? The Lord will take care of us.
Sure.
So we were excited. I was definitely excited. Nervous. I was nervous about money, nervous about stuff.
Understandable.
And,
normal stuff.
But man, when he popped out, it was I was still blown away. Like it was 10 times better than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Yeah. I cried for 3 days probably after he was born.
That is awesome.
It's just such an amazing thing. There's so many amazing things about it.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, one is that my wife grew
a human.
like in her stomach. Another crazy thing is literally 1 second he was inside and the next second he was outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a second, like, so it's like, it was real before, but like, you know, when he's still in the womb or whatever, like it's a little further.
Sure.
But in a second, it was like, oh,
boom.
Oh,
he's here.
Like I'm a dad now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Instantly I'm a dad.
It makes it real.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's so amazing. It's super hard, super, super, super difficult. You know, raising kids is tough, but It's so amazing.
It's amazing. It's
so
the most amazing, difficult thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. It'll teach you so much about life and yourself, and so much. Like I've learned a lot just about, I don't know, like, and it changes all the time, as you sort of allude to, like as he grows, like, so he's at the stage now where like, I can kind of tell, like if been working for the majority of the day or whatever, and I come home, he like wants to play.
Oh yeah.
He wants daddy. Like he kind of taunts me a little bit. That's kind of newish. And it's like, oh man, like I feel, it's like, now what do I do? Like I kind of need to do this thing, but I don't know. It's always changed, but it's so amazing.
It changes all the time. And the best advice I can give you is when he comes to you that way, there's nothing else on earth that's more important.
Yeah.
I'm serious, because you know, that choice, you're gonna have to make it many times.
Yeah.
And every time that you make it, it gets more difficult.
Yeah.
Because every time you make it, he's needing that less and less.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, that one day will come along when he'll be 16 years old and looking you in the eye and you know, asking for the keys to the car, and you're gonna want to play. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then one day he's gonna, and it sounds cliche, but it happens that fast. Then one day he's gonna come home and he's gonna hand you a baby boy, his baby boy. You know, and then you're gonna, along the way, you want to make sure that you cast those memories in stone. Man,
yeah.
You know, and that doesn't mean with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing I try to do is, you know, if he wants to play, if I can. I mean, of course, there's some circumstances from like, buddy, I'm so sorry. Of course. I have to leave right now. I mean, even this morning, I'm like trying to get out the door.
You still have to pay the bills.
And he wants to play, and like, I want to play with him. I don't know. I did a little bit.
See, that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
And then, you know, I had to get out the door, but it's tough, man. I mean, that's why, you know, I have a camera at home, because to me, you know, nothing replaces the real experience.
Sure.
But photos are pretty great.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if it's a moment that is real, like means a lot to you.
Yeah.
Photos can be like pretty powerful. So I have my camera all the time. I'm ready. I try to be ready.
That is good. That's what I mean about what you don't want to do is be so focused on capturing the picture that you miss the moment.
Exactly.
Right?
So
if you're prepared,
well,
that's a different story.
So I'm always ready for the photo, and my wife tells me exactly what you just said. Because sometimes we'll go on a walk, and I'll be like, yeah. Let me, you know, do what I got to do really quick, and let me grab my camera. And sometimes she'll be like, just come on the walk.
Yeah. Like
leave the camera. Like just. Right. Come on a walk with us. And I get that too. I do. I think you find the medium, you know,
find what works for you.
Right.
Find what works for you.
Exactly. So yeah, but it's good. Yeah. I love it. Total dad. Love it. Number one dad.
That is awesome, man. I love that. And you know, there are a lot of guys your age who would be kind of, I flip about it. Yeah, get a boy is great, you know, but you know, I work on Wall Street, or I do this or I do that. But that is as much a part of you, if not more, than what you do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a hard thing. You know, in today's society, we have all this noise, you know, socially to be something. And you know, what you do is just that. It's what you do. It's not who you are.
Yeah. I think like for me, I just have found having kids to be the most important thing. Like, because what's more beautiful than that? Like, I can't think of anything that's more beautiful than that, really. Like,
well, there's not. So let's say, here's the thing. Let me ask you, and just truthfully,
sure,
we put a title to this, to this show, right? Before it's posted, put a title to it.
Sure.
So would you be more proud if that title was Jordan Bellotti, Pittsburgh's #1 headshot photographer, or Jordan Bellotti, Pittsburgh's #1 dad? Which title would be you'd be more proud of this show?
Yeah, probably #1 dad. I mean, the second one definitely would be #2, you know, but because that's what I do. But
well, you're right.
Yeah, but the dad thing, I love it.
But again, it goes back to it's what you do, not who you are.
Yeah.
Dad is who you are.
Yeah, big time.
You know, photographer is what you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and it contributes to allowing you to be #1 dad.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, because you have to have that part of it.
Yeah.
You know, You can't ignore your profession or your vocation. You can't ignore it, but you can't let it consume you so that it comes and creeps up above the dad part.
Yeah. And I think, when I first started my business, I was excited, because starting a business is hard, but it's also exciting. And I would have done.
It's a lonely journey.
It totally is. Yeah. If you want to get into that, we can talk. It's totally a lonely journey.
No, let's go. Yeah, let's go down that road because it wasn't a conventional path that you followed.
Not at all.
You literally, as they say, walk the less traveled path.
Big time. Yeah. I just, it was one of those things where I think that I was doing a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. I've never been the type of person. So I went to college. I have a bachelor's degree.
What's your degree in?
Public administration.
Okay.
Don't do anything with it. Never really wanted to do.
A lot of people do that. Yeah.
Never had a plan to do public administration. I was in and out of college a bunch. So basically, my mother, she works at Point Park University downtown.
Sure.
So, and she's worked there for quite a while. So, I lived in South Carolina for a little while. I mean, I was born in Pittsburgh, moved to South Carolina in like 5th grade, went to high school in South Carolina. And then after I graduated, I moved back to Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
And right after I moved back, my mom started working at Point Park. So and I was always thinking, I just finished high school. So it was like, oh, college, that's the next thing.
Next logical step.
So when my mom started working for Point Park, she was like, you're going to Point Park because she worked there. So I got like a really great deal.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was
absolutely,
it was free.
I get it. Yeah.
It was free. But I was young and dumb and I was in music is what I really loved. But my mom was like, you need to go to college. So I was like, all right, I'll go to college. But it's
always good to have a plan B.
Right. But I had no focus. Mm-hmm. I've never been one of those people that felt like, okay, I'm going to go to college and do this undergrad. Then I want to go to med school and do these other things. So that's the path. Never had a path. Basically, I went to college because my mom said, you're going to college. And this is a great opportunity. And I said, all right, whatever. So I was in and out of college a bunch. Like my grades were horrible. I changed my major a bunch of times. I started as a cinema major because I thought, I'll make movies. I don't really want to go to college, but
there you go.
Cinema sounds cool.
Yeah.
So I went for cinema for a couple months or a couple semesters. Dropped out because I told my mom, like, the band, Mom, we're gonna tour. Like, this is it, Mom. Yeah. Dropped out, and then and then I would find my way back and go back to college or whatnot, and then I would drop out again. I dropped out like 2 or 3 times, but then dropped out for I was dropped out for like the longest period of time at like the last time.
Yeah.
I forget how long it was. It was like 4 or 5 years. And I was working all these jobs and I was unhappy because I liked what I did. So I was a barista, loved what I did. But then I hit a ceiling so fast there. Like I wanted to keep going, like I thought the coffee shop I worked at, I thought we were going to expand and maybe get more locations. And I thought maybe I could like help and manage and grow and all this stuff. And that just didn't happen.
Okay.
So I hit the ceiling really quick and I just was like, what am I doing now? Like, and I didn't want to go work for another coffee shop because I was like, it's the same everywhere. Like if I go to work at that coffee shop, it's the same ceiling.
Same ceiling.
So like, what are they going to do? Like give me a raise for doing the same thing? And then what if I stay there for 10 years? Are you just going to keep giving me a raise until I make like $35 an hour as a barista at a coffee shop? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it just didn't
Which wouldn't be a bad thing, by the way.
No. But it wouldn't make sense for the owner.
Right.
So
the owner couldn't even pay themselves that.
Right. So I at that point, I saw the ceiling and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't really want to work here anymore because I've hit the ceiling. I just don't see where else I could go. So I started to feel unhappy and that's when I started to think like, well, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. So the first thing was I should go back to college because even though I dropped out a bunch of times, somehow I managed to finish almost 3 years. Like, passed or whatever. Sure. So I only had about a year left. And I was like, I should go back. Not because I want the degree, because I want to do public administration. I just was like, I want to finish. I'm so
finish what
close.
You started. Yeah.
I'm so close. I just want the paper. So I called my mom and I said, what major can I do that everything I've done thus far will plug right into that major, and I won't have to retake any courses. It'll be clean and simple, and will also allow me to do it online. And she was like, public administration. I was like, sign me up. That's the major.
No kidding.
I'll
That
do.
is
So
that's awesome.
So I completed that. I graduated online, but I knew I didn't want to do anything with public administration really. Like,
And that's a good intuition because that's stressful. I've dealt
Stressful.
with public
Sure.
administrators or city
Yeah.
managers, and like they're always stressed.
I think it's stressful. I think it's one of those jobs where you kind of don't make a whole lot of money, that kind of thing. I
you
mean,
get in the
you
right
probably
community,
can.
you can.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you get into the bigger communities, obviously, like if you're the manager in Upper St. Clair, you're going to make a lot more money than if you're the manager in Munhall, or Turtle Creek.
Right.
But it's still it's incredibly stressful because you're at the whim of every election cycle that the majority on that council or board changes.
Yeah. Changes
you
everything.
always got to worry about if you have a job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I knew I didn't want to do that. And then so the first thing is I loved music. So I thought, I'm going to be a drummer. I was like, why can't I be a drummer? I think I'm pretty good to be a drummer. So I was like, I'm going to be a drummer. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to be a drummer. And she totally gave me a side-eyed look and was like, okay. And it wasn't that she didn't support me, obviously, like,
yeah.
She was like, well, how's that going to work?
Do you get paid to do that?
You can, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's hard. Hard.
It is hard. One of my son-in-laws is a drummer.
Oh, cool.
He does it as a sideline. But music is a tough business.
It is tough. I think it's getting actually possibly easier though with social media. Mm-hmm. It's like pretty amazing. But yeah, to go back, thought I was going to be a drummer. And what's funny is I actually got a camera because the plan was to take video of myself playing drums to put on Instagram to get discovered by some band or something.
I love it.
So that was the plan. Got the camera, but I started to see that I didn't think the drumming thing was going to work out because I thought, well, probably should move to like Nashville or something because that's where everything is happening.
You got to go where the music is.
And my wife did not want to do that.
Really? She's a local girl too. She's Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Very family oriented.
Okay.
She lost her mom unexpectedly about 10 years ago.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Family's like really important. Makes sense. So she just did not want to move. So I started to see that, but I had the camera, and I've always been an entrepreneurial thinker.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I got so burnt out at like the coffee shop.
And that's why you kept, you're trying to find your niche, your spot.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I got so burnt out at the coffee shop is I had all these ideas. I'm like, why aren't we doing this? Why don't we try this? And it was always like, oh, we don't have the foundation to do that. We don't have the capacity, all these things. And I would just be like, come on, like we should try some of these things to grow and whatnot. So I had the camera and I started to think, well, what can I do with this camera? Like, what can I do with this camera to make money or whatever? So as I started to learn about the camera, I started to like it more and more and thought, this is pretty cool. And then I found Headshots, and I have a mentor for Headshots, and I found him, and he's a very unique, the way he approaches Headshots is very unique. Mm-hmm. It's similar. I do what he does basically. Because I found him, I thought, this is awesome. I want to learn from this guy.
This is what I want to do.
Exactly. And and then the more I learned about that, here I am, 2.5 years later,
that
full time.
That is cool. And even just to take that leap and jump into it full time, because it's not, it's not a 9-to-5 gig, right? And it's not something that, you don't know that work is coming for, you have to. So, being an entrepreneur is definitely not for the faint of heart.
Going full time, I had no choice. So I had a job and I lost it in 2020, I think, late 2020. I lost my job, but I was already sort of working towards Headshot stuff.
Yeah.
The plan was to do Headshots and keep my job kind of together and just see if I could edge the Headshots ahead.
Yeah.
But then I lost my
You
job.
just forced your hand.
Yeah.
So you had, well, that's, I mean, I think it's really cool that you don't play poker because you got no poker face, man. Because listen, when you talk about Jasper, when you talk about photography, your old face changes.
Yeah. I probably,
you know what I mean?
probably
It's
wouldn't
like,
be good at poker.
Oh no, you'll see those aces and go,
Yeah.
you know, but so, I mean, this is really cool. I appreciate you coming on and really talking about it and sharing your story because, you know, there are a lot of young people out there that are have been or are where you were, and they're just afraid to take that step, you know, for whatever, and it's their own fear that's holding them back.
Big time.
You know,
Big time.
When you're in your 30s, listen, you want to talk about still being a kid. Okay. I mean, that's the time to do it. In your 20s and 30s, that's when you take that leap, because once you get into your 40s and 50s, it's like, nah, man, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, you will recover from that.
Yeah.
You know, even if it doesn't work, you fall flat on your face, you go on to the next thing, you know?
I mean, ever since when I started this business, I mean, my dad is sort of an artist, and I mean, he's a great, like, he can draw and paint and whatever. And so me and I would say all my brothers got a bit of an artistic gene.
Okay.
My younger brother would maybe say he doesn't, but he totally does. Like, I've seen some creative things he's done.
Yeah.
My older brother, totally creative person, can sort of draw. So I've always been a creative person.
Okay.
But what I'll say is, when I started the business, that was the concern. Like, or the area that I was most concerned with was like creativity. Like, I wanted to take cool photos.
Sure.
But I very, very quickly learned that when you start a business, it's like 80% sales and marketing and like 20% whatever it is you started the business to do.
Right.
And I was really bummed out about that when I kind of came to that realization in the beginning, because I thought, I don't want to like sell to people. I don't want to have to network and talk to people. Like, that's not me. I don't want to do that. I've never been in corporate America. You know what I mean? So I'm not that kind of person.
Right.
But again, kind of what I was saying earlier is that your life molds you in a way.
Absolutely.
And it got to the point where I was like, you know, after my son was born, I had to make a decision. It's like, well, my wife, we knew that she was going to stay at home, like be a stay-at-home mom. So I was faced with, okay, it's just me now. Yeah. So should I go get a job and get health insurance and all that stuff that I need? Or do I keep the business and really try to kick it up and learn sales and marketing and whatever else? And I chose to keep the business and learn sales and marketing. And now I actually really like sales and marketing. I love it. Yeah. Someone called me from the Penguins the other day. Or maybe it was like a third party, but they were trying to sell me to buy in on like ad space on their pamphlet. And she did such a good job at the end of the call. I said, do they train you in this sales stuff? Because she did all the stuff that I do. Yeah. Like, she asked me a lot of questions. She presented me like the highest number package first. You know what I mean? So that the lower numbers felt like a better deal. Yeah, like a better deal, even though it was all kind of a high ticket or whatever. Yeah. And then at the end, I said, well, let me, you know, I'm interested, but I said, can you email me some of this information so I can look over it, whatever. And at the end, she said, when's a good time to follow up? She said, can we put something on the calendar so I can call back? That's the key. That's the key. And I was like, she's good. I know. I said, they train you on the phone. I said, because this is exactly what I do. It's what you have to do. You know, the sales call is meaningless if there's no follow-up. Exactly. It's totally meaningless. Yeah. But yeah, I just, and it's easy for me to say because I'm already full-time and I've already learned the sales and the marketing and all that stuff. But what I can say is that people that are interested in, because I talk to a lot of people who hate their jobs. Sure. They're like, my mom, you know, or you might want to edit that out. I don't know if someone from I don't want someone from Point Park. There's a lot of people that hate their jobs. Absolutely there is. And some of them I talk to and they'll say like, I was one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's an easy trap to fall into. They'll say like, yeah, you know, I really like doing this thing. Like maybe it's woodworking or painting or video stuff, something else that they really like to do. But what I can say is we are our biggest hurdle.
Absolutely.
Because starting a business is not that hard. It is and it isn't.
Right.
Before I started my business, I always thought you had to have all these I's dotted and T's crossed. And I would say, oh, but I don't have like a business plan. Like I got to write out the formal business plan and do projections and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Is that stuff valuable? Sure.
It is.
It depends on what business I think you're starting.
A lot of that, and if you're looking for funding or something like that, you have to have those things. But that you don't have to have those things to start.
Right.
To take the first step.
I'm still figuring stuff out.
Yeah,
I am still figuring stuff out. So we are our biggest hurdle. Really, what you got to do is just start. Just start doing it.
Great advice.
Start doing it.
That's great advice.
Because I don't have everything figured out. Like, I'm still like, wait a second. What can I write this off? Or wait, if I'm buying, or wait, so this year for taxes, do I do this other? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still
I get it.
figuring stuff out.
I get it.
I mean, I've figured out, I'm 2.5 years in, so I've got more of things figured out, I guess. Like I've figured out processes.
And 2.5
stuff,
years from now, you're still going to be figuring stuff
100%.
out. You know, I mean, if I have a regret, and I have very few, but if I have a regret, it's that I didn't leave corporate America 20 years ago and do what I'm doing now, because this is fun. Of course, I wouldn't have had him because it'd have been 1 year old.
Right.
But, you know, at the end of the day, if I'd have done it in my early 40s, you know, so now I'm doing it for him. I'm doing it for Nick and for everybody that comes next, so we can build something. And if it's a legacy, then that's great. But, you know, it's just fun.
It is.
It's just fun. And so few people make a living doing what they're passionate about.
But they could. That's the thing that drives me
That's
crazy.
The message. That is the message. And you're proof of that.
It's like I say, it's easy. It is hard, but it's also so much easier than you think. Yeah. You know, like you don't have to have all these things figured out.
Anything worth doing is hard.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not hard, you shouldn't be doing it. You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You know, we spend too much time avoiding hard.
Right.
You know, in looking for the easy button.
Right.
There's no easy button.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, if you don't have to work for it, if it isn't difficult to achieve, it's not worth your time.
Yeah. I can really resonate with what you said, that like you wish you would have started doing this, like left corporate America, however many, 20 years ago, whatever. I feel the same way. I wish I would have not even headshots specifically, but I wish I would have started my own business like 10 years ago. I wish I would have just figured, you know, whatever I liked at the time. I wish I would have just been doing my own thing this whole time.
I think the only way in this country that you can truly build wealth, okay, I'm not talking about, there's a difference between having being wealthy and rich, okay?
Right, yeah.
So I made a good living my whole life, but I've never had the opportunity to really build generational wealth. The only chance you have to do that is to do what you're doing.
I agree.
Is to have your own business and work for yourself. You know, you have 16 years, 18, maybe 22 years to build this business for your son.
Yeah.
Whether he wants to be a photographer or not.
Right.
Your legacy is this business where it is when he's an adult.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, if you're not doing it for him, who are you doing it for?
Yeah.
You know, you're doing it for who comes next.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that, and even if he doesn't want to do it, by what I mean by that is, if you've built a business that you are able to provide for your family, for a generation, right? That's the ultimate success.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, my friends and family are probably sick of hearing me, because every time they're telling me like, oh, I got to work late, or, you know, work is really tough, I'm doing all this extra stuff, or this or that, I'm always like, start a business.
Yeah.
Start a business.
Oh no, drives my wife crazy.
Because I love it. And it's easier than people think. Like it is hard, but it's a lot easier than people think.
There you go.
anything that you can think up, anything that you can think up, there's a market for it.
Oh my goodness.
I always
there
say,
are people out there doing crazy things that you would never believe you can make a living doing.
I tell my mom, she's, it's not that she hates her job, but she just, you
get stale. It gets stale when you do something for long enough.
Yeah.
But when you have a business and you're an entrepreneur, you won't get stale because there's so many things you're doing.
Yeah.
You're going in it's just so, it's holistic. It's all encompassing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
always tell her, say, Mom, you could paint rocks and probably make millions of dollars painting rocks. Like I was thinking, and this is a business idea, maybe if someone wants to take, I was thinking you could buy decently sized rocks. And one idea is you could paint football and NFL logos on the rocks. And then there's
a lot of things you could do.
People could put them in their front yards. People that are diehard, football fans or basketball or whatever. You might have
to become a football fan then.
I might have to be a football fan. I'd do it.
But the Yinzers would buy those.
They would. And
yes.
There's so many.
To your point, you're right.
You're
right. If you can think it, you can do it.
There's a market for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, take photography. There are so many types of photographers. Even niche. There's the big ones like headshots, weddings, family portraits.
Sure.
Commercial stuff, product, whatever. But there's niche. Pet photography might be like a little niche. I know people that are making great money doing pet photography.
But if you love animals and you like being around animals, because there's not a lot of people. I think being a pet photographer would be hard.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not even like a child where you can't reason with a dog or a cat or a goat.
Right.
But so anyway, listen. This has been great. Man, I appreciate it. So like you said, we've been connected for a while now, but I didn't know any of this stuff about you. I knew you took headshots. You did really well at it, but I appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Yeah, man.
So when we close out the show, this podcast is just like everything that we do. Our mission and our message is based on 5 principles that my dad always preached to me when I was growing up. He would talk about live, love, learn, pray, and inspire. Okay. And he said, listen, dude, if you try to do those 5 things every day, you can't help but have a good day.
Oh yeah.
Right. So of those 5 things, live, love, learn, pray, inspire. What one of those jumps out and resonates with you and why?
Pray.
Okay.
Yeah. Pray. So I'm a religious person, my wife and I, and I just think that prayer is a lot more powerful than people think. Mm-hmm. Because I think that oftentimes we have this image of God in our heads of like this far away figure or like the old paintings of God, like not a fun, not a real person that's
sure. I get it.
Got, regular issues or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that prayer can be I think that God can become like a friend, like you and I talking right now. Mm-hmm. And so I think that prayer can be really powerful.
Sure.
And I think that it can really affect your day. I mean, even if you aren't religious, I think I can't prove it, but I think that there probably is some scientific data because it's similar to meditating.
Absolutely.
How it can change
if you wake up in the morning and just thank God for another day.
Yeah.
That's a prayer. That's a powerful prayer.
Big time.
Gratitude is a prayer.
Big time. And I can think back to so many instances because we were talking briefly about how, being a business owner is a lonely road, and it really is.
Yeah.
I think about quitting probably like once a month because it's hard.
It is hard.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
But I can think back to when I first started this business. I can think back to several instances where maybe I was feeling bummed out. I remember one time I was feeling bummed out because it was early on. I didn't have, I think like for the month, I didn't have a ton of clients and I was like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe this isn't for me. Like, I don't know what to do, whatever. So I was feeling bummed out one day and I had my computer open and I heard a ding from my computer and it was LinkedIn because LinkedIn has a unique ding sound when someone like messages you. So I knew it was LinkedIn. So I go over and I look at it and it was the head of marketing for a really big company in Pittsburgh asking me about headshots, saying, hey, we're doing this thing and I'd love to talk to you more. Like,
cool.
need some headshots.
That's awesome.
And that's happened many times. Like when
you're ready to give up.
Exactly. I remember another time when I first lost my job. I'll never forget when I first lost my job. That week, I made $1,000 just with my camera, and I was like, "Wow,
yeah, how cool is that?
Crazy!" And I just thought it was so ironic that it was the same week that I lost my job. And I just felt like that's
a sign.
Yeah,
it's definitely a sign that you're on the right path.
Yeah,
I appreciate this, man. Listen,
man.
Thank you for coming in. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay the course, man, because you're killing it.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
You too.
Take care.
I'm a fan of you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. It's all him.
Okay.
I'm just smoking mirrors. It's all him.
All right, cool.
No,
cool.
This was great.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
man.
of course.
Appreciate it.
Yep.